This video is all about how to kickstart your personal growth and get it in high gear so you can see some serious and significant changes in your life. My name is Brent Michael Phillips. I'm the founder and creator of the Awakening Dynamic System of Energy Healing and Higher Consciousness. And we're here with video number 6 of 10 in our series on Prerequisites to Higher Consciousness. And essentially, I put together these videos to show you everything you need to know and everything you need to be able to do in order to be legitimately ready for a big shift in your life, to achieve a higher level of consciousness, which is its own reward, but comes with a lot of bonus gifts too, like making more money, being happier, living longer, and people liking you more, all sorts of great stuff. And this is all based on some of the unpublished writings of my late mentor, Carl Wolf, who was the absolutely highest consciousness, most powerful person I've ever worked with. So let's get into it. Today's topic is about how we must let go of our old habits of being lazy, of being sloppy, of indulging addictions, if we're serious about being ready to move forward. And so what I want to do is to read you some of the direct teachings from Carl and then talk you through it. Explain exactly what it means step by step to make it really easy for you. And so here's the first part of the teaching. Personal growth requires the transcendence of laziness, addictions, and reactive behavior. This means facing your emotions rather than avoiding them. And on the surface, it's obvious that if you're addicted to drugs or negative thinking or eating too much sugary food, it's going to be really difficult to have high-level success. Usually people that have high-level success are not, at least when they get the success, deep in addiction. Sometimes the addiction comes later, especially with young rock stars and athletes that make a lot of money at a young age. But for the most part, if you want to be wealthy and successful and have a great life, there's not a lot of room for laziness, for addiction, for avoiding emotion. And this is so important because I want to go back to our metaphor of the hose. Remember, we all have a hose that kind of connects us from the top of our head up to the divine or heaven or the other side, whatever words or terms we like there. And there is a stream of life coming through us, a flow of energy. And most of us, when we're little children, the flow is strong. It's just moving right through us. But as we get older, things happen, we get traumatized, we get injured, broken, etc. It's putting kinks in the hose. And there's not as much life force coming through us. And so we wonder why we're not making money, why we're sick, why we're in pain, why we're alone. Well, this is why. We got to take the kink out of the hose. And one of the ways we do it is by letting go of laziness, addiction, and avoidance. Here's how it goes. That, of course, there's things for us that we like to feel and experience, and a lot of things we don't. That's true of everybody. There are certain foods you like, certain foods you don't like. No one likes to be hungry or tired or sleep deprived. Everyone loves a good massage or a great meal, right? And so the ego has all these preferences of I like this and I don't like that. One of the biggest traps of the victor, one of the biggest pits you can fall into as you're trying to climb that ladder to success is addiction. So what's going on there? Well, at its core, addiction is pretty simple. Addiction is obsessively doing something that changes how you feel. So, for example, some alcoholics will say that being sober is just boring. It's not fun. So they drink and suddenly life is fun. What you'll find is that the root of all addiction is something you don't want to feel. Maybe you don't want to feel bored, or you don't want to feel ugly, or you don't want to feel fat, or poor, or dumb, or whatever it is. And we humans have come up with all these clever ways to manipulate our inner state. We do it with food. We do it with alcohol. We do it with drugs. We do it with sex. We do it with negative thinking. There's all these ways we've learned to manipulate and change our inner state. The trouble is, again, back to the metaphor, we have a hose coming through the top of our head that the light force is feeding into you from above. And if there's kinks in the hose, you don't have as much life force, and you're going to struggle and suffer. How do we take the kinks out of the hose? Well, it's simple. This is accountability on the level of feeling. And one of the most interesting things about Carl was that when something would be off in his life, for example, his car would break down, or a pipe would burst in his condo, or whatever it was, insert life drama here. Most people would say, oh gosh, my car broke down, a pipe burst, I got shingles, whatever. Go, oh God, what do I do? That's part of it. But what Carl would ask is, what is it I'm not feeling? Because he really understood at a very deep level that life is not just about being accountable to action and doing the right things. It's also about being accountable to feeling, being able to feel everything without a lot of resistance. And so he would ask, what am I not feeling? Because he knew that if he could open himself up and feel that thing that he couldn't feel, the problem would disappear. That when you're not feeling something, that's the kink in the hose. Let's say that you hate to be bored, and you find that when you're drinking alcohol, you're not bored. That is a manipulation of your inner state. The boredom is what we call the shadow self, that which you don't want to feel or experience or be. So you start drinking to avoid the boredom. And you drink more and more, and at some point, boom, you're an alcoholic. So what are you not feeling? Well, to heal that, you have to be willing to let go of the alcohol so you can feel bored. That's how we get the kinks out of the hose. Every time there's something we don't want to feel, we're putting a kink in the hose. So you don't want to feel poor. You don't want to feel pain. You don't want to feel alone. You don't want to feel ashamed or guilty or sad. Every one of those is a kink in the hose. Everything you avoid feeling cuts down on the amount of life force that comes in through you. You'll make less money. You'll be sicker. You won't be as happy. This is how it works. So this is why we must be willing to let go of all the things that are preventing us from feeling the things we don't like. Does that make sense? So if you really don't like to feel powerless, you need to feel powerless. If you really don't like to feel dirty, you need to feel dirty. For a lot of people, it's about sexuality. Many of us have a lot of internal judgment about sexuality, gay, straight, bi, whatever. It doesn't matter what you are or not. What matters is that you're open to feeling everything. I remember that it was a huge, huge blow to me when Carl asked me, Brent, do you think maybe you're gay and just repressing it? Now, long story short, I have no reason to think I'm gay. I'm just not sexually attracted to men. It's fine if you are. I don't care, right? We all have our thing. But my willingness to be open to it, to feel that maybe I am gay, that made a huge difference in my career. Long story short, I went from struggling and broke to I made $30,000 in 1 hour. All because I was willing to feel something that I'd been avoiding. That's the lesson here. Circle back to what we talked about a few videos ago. On the level of the victor and action, yes, you have to be accountable. You have to show up on time. You have to be prepared. You have to know what you're doing. You have to do a good job to follow through all those things, yes. But accountability and action is only part of it. The part that almost everyone misses is the accountability of feeling. What is it you're not feeling? And quite simply, laziness, addiction, avoiding behaviors, they take us away from feeling the things we need to feel. And when you do that, it's just another kink in the hose. How many kinks do you want to put in your hose? How long do you want to stay poor? And I'll put out there, of course, nobody likes to feel the bad things. No one likes to feel like a failure or feel stupid or feel rejected or unloved or alone or all these things. But the more we resist it and make fear choices to avoid them, the deeper our hole gets. Highly successful, wealthy people aren't afraid of feeling the things they don't want to feel. They'll feel whatever's required to get to where they want to be. And that's what I want you to take away from this. That all these things we do when we're lazy, when we're spending hours watching TV or silly cat videos on TikTok or video games is a big one for me. Oh gosh. I will piss away days, even weeks playing video games. Why? I don't like being bored. I don't like feeling restless. You play a video game, it gives you a huge dopamine hit. It hypnotizes you. Time passes like it's nothing. That's why I need to let go of it. It's all those things we don't want to feel. Those are the kinks in your hose. That's what's screwing up your life. And until you're ready to feel everything, you probably won't see the big shift. And if you're not ready today, that's okay. There's no rush. When I was 3 years old, I had the same DNA, the same physical biology that I do now. But when I was 3, I couldn't have gone to MIT and gotten straight A's. Are you kidding? There's nothing wrong with a 3-year-old. They're just not ready for it. So if this is over your head, that's okay. Come back in 6 months, a year or two. But just know, there is no avoiding. You can delay, but you can't avoid. You can try to run, you just can't hide. That's what we're saying here. So here's the second part of the teaching. Personal growth requires the surrender of denial, a commitment to telling the truth about reality, and the truth about where I am and what I am doing in my life right now. And so this is a bit of a repeat of what we covered earlier. But if you want to be successful, you must tell the truth without agenda, without bias. In order to get to where you want to be in life, there's 2 things you must know. One is you must know where you are, clearly, unambiguously. And 2, you need to know where you want to be. Imagine if you wanted to take an Uber and the app's like, where are you? And you're like, I don't know. Well, guess what? They can't come pick you up if you don't know where you are. Same thing in life. If you don't know exactly where you are right now, it's going to be almost impossible to get to where you want to be. So first we need to know where we are, which is the hardest thing for most of us. Then we need to know exactly where we want to be. Most of us have thought about this a little bit, but not a lot. But again, if you want to call an Uber, they want to know exactly where you're going to be dropped off. I can't call an Uber in Santa Monica and go, yeah, just drop me off somewhere in downtown LA. They won't take it. They want to know exactly where you're going to be picked up and exactly where you're going to be dropped off. And the universe is like that. It's kind of like Uber, a ride-sharing app. The universe needs you to know exactly where you're at and exactly where you want to be if you want to get somewhere. So I want to dive in a little bit to when I say surrender of denial. What does that mean? Well, quite simply, denial is one of our most powerful coping mechanisms that we don't feel things. As an example, you may have heard stories, not so much nowadays, but like back in the 20th century, 50s, 60s, there were men who had jobs that would lose their job and they wouldn't tell their family. That they would get up every day looking like they're going to work and go to the bar or the library and kill time and come home at 5:30. That's denial. They didn't want to recognize what was really happening. And it's going to be tough to get a job when you're living in denial, when you're lying to your family, when you're lying about your bank statements and how much money you make. That's tough. And so if we're willing to move forward, we have to be willing to let go of the denial. We have to be able to say, hey, this is the world I'm in. This is the objective truth of this moment. And if I don't like it, that's my problem. Ignoring it, hoping it will go away or change on its own, generally doesn't work, now does it? You're welcome to try it. But in the same way we have to let go of laziness and addiction, we also have to let go of denial because, again, at the core, denial gets us out of, for a short time, feeling what we don't want to feel. So if you lose your job and you don't want to feel that, you can still pretend you have a job. But it's not going to solve the problem. Because at some point, the money's going to run out and your family's going to know you've been lying to them and now you have an even bigger problem. So this is kind of a contrived example. I don't think most of us nowadays would do something that silly. But I encourage you, take a look at your life. Where are you in denial? Where are you ignoring things you don't like or that you don't want to feel? And be willing to let go of that and feel the thing you don't want. The good news is this. When you can be fully open to the feeling, it passes through you and then it changes into something else. The only reason we get stuck for years and decades in pain and stagnation and poverty and all this is because we're not open to feeling. The only way you can stay stuck in something for years or decades is all that mental resistance, the judgment, the avoidance, the laziness, the addiction. And again, there's a reason we start addictions. They change how we feel on the inside, help us avoid the thing we don't like. But if you want to unkink that hose, if you want the divine flow to enter your life, to carry you to new levels of success with your career, with money, with romance, with friends, with purpose. This is how we get there. We have to be willing to face all these things we don't want to feel. But the good news is it does not take long. I told a little bit earlier about how when Carl confronted me and said, "Hey, Brent, I think the root of your issue is you're gay and you're in denial," I flipped out. It was tough for about a week. And because I was willing to face this thing I'd never been willing to feel, because part of my shadow was I didn't think I was gay, so I was in resistance to it. By being able to feel it, even though I wasn't gay, it opened up that flow. It took the kink out of the hose. And about a week later, I had my first Telesummit interview. I was the #1 bestseller on Lisa Gar's The Aware Show Telesummit, and I made over $30,000 in an hour. Now, I can't promise that exact thing is going to happen to you, but if you're open to feeling, if you're willing to let go of the laziness, the addiction, the manipulation, and feel those things you don't want to feel, it will only be a very short time, and then the success will find you. I found the same thing with dating, that for the first, 37-ish years of my life, I saw dating as a necessary evil to be in a relationship. I'm like, okay, dating sucks, but it's how you find a girlfriend, so you do it. And the first time I got married, I thought, oh gosh, such a relief. Thank God I don't have to worry about dating or flirting anymore. Well, guess what? The marriage didn't work out. I got divorced. Some years later, there I am back in the saddle, going, oh God, this sucks. For me, it didn't shift. It took years of dating coaches and self-improvement and a new wardrobe, a motorcycle, lots of weightlifting to get to the point where I'm like, you know what? I'm having fun being single. It's fun to go down to the promenade on a Saturday and just talk to random women and get a few phone numbers. And if most of them never get back to me, it's okay because I'm having fun in the moment. And it was right when I'm like, you know what? I'm okay being single. This is actually kind of fun. Boom. Relationship found me. Before I knew it, I was married and had a family. And money success is the same. If you stop resisting your poverty, maybe you move through it. Physical health is the same. If you stop resisting the pain, the disease, the disability, maybe it will heal and disappear. That's all I'm saying. Now, this is really cool stuff. I got a lot more to say on the subject. If you want to learn more about me, I got some cool links in the description. Come to one of my live events, book a private session, or come to one of my trainings. I think it'll blow your mind. There's also a nice discount for if you want to go through the 30 Days to Awakening. I think it'll completely blow your mind and change your life. Check it out if you're interested, and make sure you hit like and subscribe. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I suppose if I were to try to sum up the theme of this video in one sentence, it would be this: the way past it is through it. In other words, if you want to get past your pain, avoiding the pain, killing the pain doesn't work. You've got to dive into the pain. And I'll give just a very quick story of the first healing technique I ever learned in karate class when I was in college. And it went something like this, that I've been studying Taekwondo, and I think I was a yellow belt or green belt when I got to go to my first tournament. And I was really excited. And I remember my first fight, I went out, and you're not supposed to kick people below the belt, but for whatever reason, the guy I was fighting kicked me right in the side of my leg. Instant cramp, horrible pain, I hit the ground. And so my teacher came over, he's like, Brent, are you okay? I'm like, oh God, man, I don't think I can do this. I'm in too much pain. And the referee said, you have 2 minutes. If your fighter's not ready, you're going to forfeit. And so I remember my teacher's name was Chris. He said, okay, Brent, do this. Right now, you're probably pushing away the pain, not wanting to feel it. Do the opposite. Feel the pain as much as you can. And I did, and it hurt more, and it hurt more, and it hurt more. After about 20 seconds, I was ready to slug him in the face because it hurt so much. And then it shifted, and the pain started to dissolve. And by the end of the 2 minutes, the pain was down about 80%. And I got up and I kept fighting. Now, this is not a movie. I didn't win the tournament. I did win that fight. I got knocked out in a later round. But the moral of the story is, had I resisted the pain and pushed it away, I would have been done. Disqualified. I invited the pain in and embraced it, and it dissolved. The U.S. Marine Corps has a saying, embrace the suck. That's it. If you can embrace all the things that suck, you will be incredibly powerful. You will have an amazing life. So embrace the suck. The way past it is through it. All these things we don't like, poverty, loneliness, loss, pain, the more we avoid it and manipulate through all these behaviors and addictions, the more you're stuck, the more kinks in your hose. Open up, allow yourself to feel everything, allow that life force to move through you, and you're going to love what happens. I don't know exactly what it'll be, but it will be an amazing ride. And you may look back and see going through these videos might have been the beginning of the turning point of your life. I really hope so. That's all I got to say for right now. This is Brent Michael Phillips signing off. We'll be back very soon. We got 4 more videos in the series, so we'll see you soon with number 7. Until then, please take care and namaste.